Okay, so welcome to the Aussie Age Grouper. This podcast shares the stories, struggles, and successes of everyday triathletes. Now, today's episode is all about something brand new, the very first Ballarat Duathlon, which is happening on September 26th. I am joined by Molly Voss, a triathlete, former president of Ballarat Tri Club, now vice president of the Ballarat Tri Club, and probably the key person in bringing this event to life. So we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive in taking behind the scenes. We'll walk through the course and help you get ready for race day. So whether you're a first time or a seasoned competitor, let's have a bit of a chat. Welcome, Molly.
Thanks, Chris. Looking forward to having a chat about my baby project.
Your little baby, yes. You probably. I'm assuming you are the lead on this one.
Yeah, this was my silly idea, and the committee of Ballarat Triathlon Club said, sure, let's run with it. So now here we are.
Yeah, so look, this is the first time that the Ballarat Duathlon will be held, I guess, in this capacity. There used to be one a few years ago. So, uh, how did the idea come about for you to I guess, bring it back?
I think one of the things that Ballarat has going for it is a huge triathlon community
Hmm.
and a huge running community and a huge cycling community and no major multi-sport event. So I actually started off trying to plan a triathlon in Lake Wendouree because I know there used to be one in 2011 that I wasn't around for that I'd love to do. And logistically and fitting it in the current calendar was a bit too much. And so I went back to the drawing board and thought better play to our strengths. And our strengths are running and cycling in Ballarat. And there was a nice little slot in the calendar of the Friday public holiday of the footy grand final.
Hmm.
That's in the lead up to Worlds, doesn't clash with any other event. No one's using the event venue at that time. So it was just everything fell into place for that to work out. So it's been pretty good.
And I mean, look, I think the timing's great. And my next question was going to be, how did you decide on the right time? You've just answered it, but like a Friday event, some people might go, oh, what are we going to do there? But it is, leading into a public holiday. Not everybody sits around and watches a grand final. In fact, probably half the people don't. There's a lot of people who, if your team's not playing, you're probably not overly interested in it. So, yeah, I think it's a great time. And for those who are interested, coming out, come and stay. Stay in Ballarat and ride the region. It's a beautiful area to ride. September in Ballarat can be beautiful. It can also be fickle. So I think going with a duathlon is a really smart idea because once you incorporate swimming, then you are becoming a little bit more weather dependent. So, duathlon is a bit of a winter one. So what do you think about? Well, give us a description of the venue, and why do you think it's a good spot for a duathlon?
So the race is at Victoria Park in Ballarat. So people who've done the Ballarat Marathon probably know it quite well, or the locals know it and love it. It's also where, when the Ironman was in Ballarat, it was a key part of the course as well. So it's a beautiful big park with, I don't even know the species of trees, but really old tree canopies and beautiful tree tunnels to ride through. It's part of the bike course is part of the Ballarat Crit Track, so it's all easy to close off, and it should be pretty flat and fast for people having a crack. It's also very scenic, although having done a race two at Altona, they might give us a run for their money. This is a pretty
Yes.
special looking course too.
Yes, we don't have a beach, unfortunately, and some of those trees, like they're the old deciduous trees. So I think there's elms, there's oaks, there's also
Yeah,
some really old pine trees and a few others like that. So I know in autumn it's a beautiful spot because all the trees turn, but by September it should all be nice and green and looking pretty special. So um, I guess what are you sort of hoping for in terms of a race day vibe? Where do you want people to come from, and what sort of event village have you got sort of planned for us?
we're hoping that people are coming from everywhere, from down the road, from Geelong, from Melbourne. And the way that we've actually, when we were thinking about the course design, we actually tweaked it a few different times to land with the run for the races is actually a short loop that runs around the event village area. So as a competitor, you'll see your cheer squad multiple times on both passes, on both sides of the course. And it's in a nice little park area. And for those with kids, it's actually right next to the adventure park. So there's a massive playground with the coolest flying fox right there, ready to go. It's all fenced off, so kiddies have something to do. We've also got Ballarat East Community Men's Shed coming and cooking up a sausage sizzle. And I'm in the process of organising a coffee van too for everyone that's going to be very thirsty on race morning.
Yes, coffee is very, very important. And I guess we are very lucky in Ballarat. We do actually have some pretty decent coffee vendors. Yes. All right. So I've just popped up on the screen here the course, and this is available on, if I just flick the screen, um, anybody who's looking for information can go to the Ballarat Tri Club website. There's a link there. I'll pop it into the show notes as well so you can sort of see it. Molly, this will actually end up on YouTube as well. So
Beautiful.
I will pop a link in there as well. So you can see that there is a link to the duathlon. If you're looking for the course, you'll find it just below the picture of everyone riding there. So if I go back to that, all right. So for people new to duathlon, how does it work? What's the format? And rather than talking about distances at the moment, because we might step through each of the different events you're offering, just sort of give us an idea of what a duathlon is.
A duathlon is a pretty tough event, and it's fun, but it's a run bike run. So for all those people that don't like swimming and are suckers for punishment, this is the perfect combination.
Yeah, and you're right. It's not. Some duathlons will just do a bike and a run, but more traditionally, it's generally speaking a shorter run, bike, and then a longer run. Would that be right, or are you flipping things around?
But I am not an experienced duathlete, so it is given the course design and making sure that it's really fun at the end and having a lot of people together for the second run. The first run is actually the longer run for both the events, so
Cool.
that for the shorter one, that's where you'll see your athlete a few times
Yep.
from the event village. Yeah.
And that's the beauty of a duathlon. You can actually change it around. You can change the distances. You can just play around with it and make it something that is accessible to everyone. You did touch on before about the sort of how it looks, with all of the older trees, and it's quite covered in some of those areas. Looking at that course there, you're going to be, if it's a really hot day, which I doubt it late September, but you just never know, you're going to be in the shade for a fair bit. Course elevation. Everyone wants to know, do they have to climb any hills when they're in Vic Park?
Oh, there are a few, if you're really aware, there are a few. So the hill on the first run for the sprint is actually coming up the final stretch of the run. I'm not sure of the street name, but it's that one on the left-hand side heading
Hmm.
up. There is a slight little incline there. Everything else on the run courses is flat. The loop at the top is flat. Um, we're going for flat and fast. I don't like hills, so I've tried to avoid them.
Yeah, and look, I think your definition of a hill is probably different to mine. I live in Creswick. We actually have hills out here where there is actually steepness. I would call this a very flat course. There is yeah, like you say, a little bit of an incline. You'll know you're going uphill, but I mean, to sort of look at it, it's pretty flat by comparison. So, a lot of this is actually where they run the Ballarat Marathon, and over 42 kilometres, it has an elevation of 99 metres. So, that's pretty damn flat. So, yeah, for those who are afraid of hills, you're going to love this course. All right. So the surface. So running surface. What are we running on?
So for the sprint, there is a little bit that is on pavement, but the majority of the run is actually on crushed gravel. So for those familiar with Albert Park or Princess Park in Melbourne, it's that sandy crush. So it's quite firm, but it isn't. It's not concrete. It's not bitumen.
Yeah.
So it will be a little bit softer.
Yeah, a little bit softer, a little bit easier on the feet and the legs. So that'll be good. What about the ride? Are we looking at asphalt hot mix, if you know the difference, or is there any gravel sections?
There's no gravel sections, I can guarantee that. In terms of hot mix and asphalt, couldn't tell you. There are a few little bumpy bits coming down through what I call the tree tunnel.
Yep.
Then when you get onto the crit track, it's flat and it's fast and it's really nice and smooth
Yeah.
road. And then back out onto the second lap, there are a few more bumps there, but generally it's a pretty quick bike course.
So talking about the tree tunnel, that's this centre piece here. That's yeah, asphalt around was running that the other day. Are there any potholes from memory? I don't. There might be the odd one.
No, so through
No.
there, it's more there are bumps.
Yep.
On the other side of the loop, there are a few potholes, but we'll be working with council to get them
Not
repaired
bad.
beforehand. It's just because it's winter, there's a bit of a balance of timing of repair so they don't get damaged again.
Yeah. And this loop here, that's pretty much the crit track, and it is fast and smooth. It got relayed a few years ago now, but it's perfect. They race on that every week during spring and summer and into
Yeah.
autumn. I guess the other thing to be aware of, particularly in that tree tunnel area, and I do like that name, but I guess it's the same all the way around. There's no gutter on the edge, so it's just
Mhm.
asphalt to a dirt edge. It does happen occasionally. You might get it's a little bit uneven, so just be mindful of that. You probably don't want to be riding right on the very edge of the road because it might be a bit rough. But sticking to the sort of that where that left-hand wheel would be of the car is going to be your perfect line, isn't it?
And I think the other thing to note that's probably not super obvious on these is at the turn into the tree tunnel, I should look up the street name, that will go down to one lane for a bit. So there will be water barriers there.
Yep.
So yeah, where you've got your mouse there, that will be down to one lane just to
Yeah.
manage the car parking.
It's also quite a
So
tight little corner too. So
yes, so you'll
yeah.
have to be slowing down a fair bit to
Yep.
take that safely.
So, I mean, the next question was going to be around tactics. So that's certainly something to be aware of. You don't want to be barreling into that corner too fast because if that's your tactic, you're probably going to find yourself in a car park and off the
Yeah.
course. For the most part, though, like the running course is quite a wide gravel track. It's not there's no sort of single track there, and the road it's dual lane, isn't it? And it's fully
Yep,
closed.
it's fully closed. Yep,
Yep.
so it should be good.
Yeah, Vic Park is unique in that we have interior roads that are normal, and today they would be open. You'd be able to go in and drive around, but there's big barrier gates that they put across, so it'll be entirely closed off. The only cars that you would see in there are probably going to be those that belong to either marshals or officials, and obviously they'll be parked on the side. They won't be being driven around. Awesome. All right. So let me find. So if I go to the next one, so this is the sort of the course overview. Now I think this is the full course, isn't it? This is the longer
Yes,
one.
that
Yep.
is. Yeah.
All right. So if we go to the next one, so the full course or the big course, we're calling that the sprint. Is that right?
Yeah, so it's a Community Bank Buninyong Sprint, which is also the Victorian State Duathlon Championship race as well.
Awesome. So come on out and become a state champ.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. And it's also round one of the state series. So if you are someone who's chasing points for the state series, and there's only 5 events this year. They've actually reduced it this year. It's become more and more important to actually come and race these events because those points are going to be quite valuable. So it kicks off the season. It starts obviously in September, but the last race isn't until March in the state series. If you don't come out to this one, you're probably going to regret it later on. And I can speak to this. I did it a couple of years ago where I chose not to attend one race and I missed out on a podium by one solitary point. And if I just rocked up, I probably would have got on it. So all right, so we've got a clockwise loop. This is on the essentially that's all gravel except where you cross over the road from by the looks of
Yep.
that, isn't it? Yep. So up at the transition area, that's just near the playground, or is it a little bit further up towards that corner?
It's further up, so it's actually near the pump track almost where you first might, if you were going to drive into Vic Park, where you would drive in.
Yep.
So we'll have that whole section of road, so we'll have a nice big space for transition in there.
Fantastic. Yeah, that is actually, and it's under cover there as well, and quite shaded. If you are bringing little kids who won't be competing, put the BMX in, and they can ride the pump track while you race.
Yep, exactly.
There is also a very big all abilities playground there as well, which is just a brilliant spot. It's always busy on weekends, so and that's quite secure. It's got a big fence around it to keep people away from the roads. So just be aware that there is a really good playground there for the kidlets. Okay, so I'm just having a quick look through now. To do a duathlon, what sort of gear do they need?
It depends how fancy you want to go, but a pair of running shoes would
Yep.
help.
Hmm.
A bike with a set of brakes,
Yep.
fantastic. Mountain bike, road bike, TT bike, any bike that can roll and stop, beautiful, and a helmet. I think that's about it.
That is the bare minimum you need, and it's not there will be some fancy TT bikes there, and there will be people there who might be on their little cafe bike with the little tassels hanging off the handlebars, and it's all welcome. Okay, so if we have a scroll back through, so this is our second run, yeah?
Yes.
So we're doing a
Yes.
double lap.
Correct.
All right, and we're staying a lot closer. So essentially down on this bottom right, that's where the playground is. So we're kind of looping around that playground. Toilets, there are some toilets just near the finish line there. So if you're worried about where the toilets are, and I guess you don't have to get any extras in.
Nope. So there's toilets
Fantastic.
there and there's toilets in the playground. The playground also has a fully accessible shower and change room as well,
Perfect. Yep.
for those that need it.
Right, so that was the sprint. Now the dash. Who would do the dash? Well, who would be suited to doing the dash?
The dash is really targeted at the first timers who want to do the full one themselves and are keen to have a go, but the sprint might be a bit far for them.
Hmm.
So the dash is a good balance. For the sprint, we do actually have a teams option. So if you only want to run or only want to ride, the sprint team is for you, but dash is for first timers or if you just don't like going very far and you want to go fast, but not for very long, dash is also fantastic. Um, I think we've got a minimum age on the dash one. So pretty much 12 years and over, you can come and do the dash. All the age limits are set based on Oz Triathlon rules. So we don't really have a say in the minimum age. That's all set by them. But yeah, it's perfect for kids and adults alike.
Awesome. And sorry, you just mentioned the teams event for or the teams option for the sprint. So are they teams of two, or can you have teams of three?
So it's teams of two for this round, and it's kind of the first time that we've done it. So we're looking to make sure we get the process and the flow right. At this stage, the thinking is that teams is ideally one runner and one rider,
Yep.
just because the way that bibs work, you need to wear a bib, and it's a bit hard to be changing over all of that stuff.
Hmm.
So that's how we're doing it for this year. And then we'll see what feedback we get on that and adapt as needed.
Awesome. All right. So moving through the second run for the dash, that is the same loop that they do for the sprint. It's just that you do one.
Correct.
Yep. What is this little red section down the bottom here?
So that little red section is actually the all abilities disability parking for
Uh-huh.
the adventure playground. Because the adventure playground is all abilities, there is a requirement from council that we maintain access to that at all times. So they need to be able to park there
Hmm.
and get into the playground.
So that's a no parking area for athletes.
Yeah.
Where would you recommend for people coming who are unfamiliar with Ballarat? I already know where I'm parking, but where probably at your place. But no.
Yeah. So
um,
there's actually going to be, and we'll update the maps when we build out the event guide, but there's actually going to be a large chunk of parking inside the park for
fantastic.
participants. So that will actually be just near the start area of the sprint. So on the there's a big gravel road, and there will be
Go
car
back up.
parking for participants there.
So that'll be sort of in this area here.
Yeah,
Yep.
around Plain Avenue.
Yep.
So there'll be parking there, but there's also a lot of street parking all around. So all the side streets heading up towards the lake along Sturt Street, Gillies Road.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, there's parks everywhere.
Anywhere around the outside, you'll be able to park, jump on your bike, and ride on in. For those who are unfamiliar with Ballarat, you've got Lake Wendouree just to the north of Vic Park there as well, and there is heaps of parking around Lake Wendouree as well, and that is really not that far to cross over Sturt Street there. Just be aware Sturt Street is one of our busier roads, and it'll be busy on that morning. It's always busy. People are coming and going to town. So just be mindful of crossing that road, but there's heaps and heaps of parking close by, which is fantastic. And look, Vic Park is full of ovals and it's designed for weekend sport. So there is heaps of parking there. So when you say you're coming into where that start area is, obviously I'm familiar with it. Yeah, there's going to be plenty in there. And hopefully we actually, you need to use your overflow when people need to go out. That means you're having a successful event. That's what we want.
Exactly.
Okay, so here's a bit of a summary of the distances. So for the bike course, so the sprint is 5 laps, 17.5 kilometres, and the dash is 10.5 or 3 laps. What is the process, Molly, for people to know how many laps they've done?
Keep count.
Exactly.
Unfortunately,
Yep.
if you don't keep count, you may be disqualified, which unfortunately did happen to someone at race one in Sandown. The best way is to just, if you have a watch, check your watch and make sure the distance is where you'd expect it to be.
Hmm.
That's what I would recommend. Otherwise, yeah, Chris, you might have some good ideas to keep count for those who run an analog race.
Well, pretty much I was going to say the same. If you can't count to five, then yeah, you're going to have some trouble. So I personally would be looking at my distances on my little computer or on my watch if I happen to lose track. Now, there's always a little bit of variance. So if you are getting to the end and you've done 17.6 kilometers or you've done 17.3 kilometers, you've probably done 5 laps. But if you happen to turn up and you've done 14 kilometers and you think you're on you finished your fifth lap, yeah, you've probably got one more to go. So just be aware of that, okay? You are going in a clockwise. There is a big roundabout down here, which separates the traffic. This is your little speed demon area here. That's your little fast area around the crit track. All right, so 3 laps for the dash and 5 for this sprint. Now, fun run or fun
Yes.
run. Sorry, what's this one?
So fun is really for those who are 10 plus. So it's really targeted at the kids and the juniors
Hmm.
as a bit of a first race. So we recently had a kids triathlon in March, and we had a lot of great feedback there and a lot of requests from people for another race, maybe even a duathlon. So this is in response to that. So it's a lot shorter.
Hmm.
There are only prizes for the kids that can't do the higher age group race. So it really is around fun, not winning.
Hmm.
And this one it's the same run course for run one.
Hmm.
It's the same bike course. It's just 1 lap, three and a
Yep.
half Ks. And then they finish with a little out and back. And then they'll swing back on and run through the finish arch. So we'll have a nice big finish arch for people to run through.
Fantastic. And again, those kids, just as long as it's a serviceable bike with working brakes, they've got a helmet and a pair of shoes, they can do this. And look, if they were going to come and just ride on the pump track, maybe sign them up for this. They can do this. Then they can go play on the pump track.
Yep, exactly.
All right. So going through, here's the bike course. So it's just a short 1 lap bike course, same as everybody else. Fantastic. Yeah, that's a really good one. Anything
Yeah.
anything that gets the kids involved, all for it. I think we need to do more and more of it. All right, that is the course there. I'm just going to stop sharing, and I need to click on that. You can tell I do this all the time. All right, so you've already mentioned there'll be so potentially some coffee, any food. I can't remember whether you said anything there.
Yeah, there'll be a sausage sizzle
Yep,
from
that's right.
the men's shed. They'll be
Hmm.
running that one.
Um,
And that's kind of it in the event area. There'll be some refreshments for athletes as well after they finish, some bananas and that kind of thing. But the location of the event means you're a pretty short drive from some great coffee and food options at the lake and in town as well.
Absolutely,
Um,
yeah.
yeah.
So what time does this all kick off? What time should people be arriving?
Because I'm a very kind event organizer who does not like getting up at 4 a.m. to drive to races, we've actually designed this around giving you a proper sleep in for your long weekend.
Yep.
So our fun race actually starts at 9 o'clock. So parents can have a sleep in if the kiddies are racing. The dash then kicks off at 10:40,
Hmm.
and then the sprint starts 10 minutes. Sorry, the dash is at 10:30, and then the sprint starts 10 minutes later at 10:40.
Fantastic.
So it'll all be done by lunchtime. So if people want to go and do footy things, they've got the whole weekend free. If they want to stay in Ballarat and do activities, you've got plenty of time to do that as well.
Fantastic. And so if we're looking at, say, for the sprint, a 10:30 or a 10:40 start, when would you advise people to be actually arriving at the event?
Well, transition closes at 10.
Yep.
So definitely before then. Actually, registration closes at 9:30. So that's the latest that you can get there to pick up your race pack.
Hmm.
So yeah, maybe 10 minutes before that, if you're a late person like me, we'll get you in
So
the door.
9:30 at your well, actually not 9:30 at your late. Let's make it 9 o'clock.
9:20.
Yeah, 9:20 at your absolute latest. You don't want to be that person rushing in. I advise all my athletes that get there early. because what's the worst you can do is just sit around and get a feel for the space as opposed to rushing in and then panicking and not being ready. So, we're looking at say a 9 to 9:20 arrival. That's leaving some parts of Melbourne about 8 a.m. That's a sleep in. So, there is no reason for the Melbourne crowd to not be coming out to this. You've done well with the timing because, again, if they're not coming out, well, we need to know their excuse because we spend all our time driving into their events, so they can come on out
Yep.
to ours. Okay, so you mentioned if they're going to stay in Ballarat, and I would highly recommend that you did. What would be a couple of things you would recommend? I'm going to offer a couple, but what are a couple of things that you reckon that they should do while they're in town?
Well, I might steal your thunder here, but in terms of all the fantastic sport options and you've got your bike, you can start with a park run on the Saturday. We've got Prince of Wales if you want a flat, fast one. We've got Wallaby Track if you want a scenic bush run. A ride around the lake because you've got your bike anyway, or you could go for a run or walk around the lake, the Botanic Gardens. This is all right in town. If you want to bring an extra bike, head out Chris's way and take your mountain bike out on the new Creswick Mountain Bike Park, which
Mhm.
is phenomenal.
There goes my thunder.
Uh, yeah. There's also, I don't know the exact stats on this, but the number of cozy traditional pubs available to watch the footy is extreme. There is a pub on every corner to watch the footy,
Yep.
so great place if that's what you're into. Cryal Castle normally has stuff on for the holidays, so that's a medieval themed kind of park. They often have jousting and crazy things for the holidays, unicorns sometimes for
Yeah.
the
Sword
young kids.
fighting.
Sword
Yeah. Yep.
fighting, yep, yep. And we've got a really good food scene in Ballarat. So yeah, going out for a coffee, a brunch, pastry. Yeah. The other one that's actually really good and people may not be aware of is there is a really nice and accessible to prams and wheelchairs sensory walk in Wukurung National Park
Hmm.
or Regional Park. So that's beautiful. There's lots of grass trees and bushland. It's crushed gravel, but if you've got kids in a pram, you can easily take them and do that walk. It's a really nice one.
Fantastic. All right. Well, the two that I'll offer now that you've given, because I was gonna tell everyone
Stolen
to
all
come.
of yours.
No, I was going to say come out to Creswick and ride the mountain bike trails
Yeah,
because
yeah,
if you're in town and you're riding that, but you may as well pack the mountain bike and you can come on out and give that a
yeah.
crack. But there's a couple of not obvious ones, but really common ones like Sovereign Hill is always very, very popular. If you
Yeah.
haven't been out, make sure you come out to that one, and also the Wildlife Park as well
Oh, yes, the
is
wildlife park is
yeah,
fantastic.
it's very, very popular. So, there's plenty to do. There is heaps of accommodation. So if you want to make a weekend of it, come on out. As you said, there is literally a pub on every corner. They've all got big screens. They'll all be doing, um, you know, the grand final. We are a Victorian town. We're also a very AFL heavy town. So all the pubs are doing it. So there's no reason that you can't come out and not be part of it. The other bit that I would say is, if you want to do a bit more road riding, can't just head out of town a little bit. You can head in pretty much any direction, but I'm Creswick, so I'll tell you to come out our way. We've got some fantastic roads out here. They're very quiet,
Mm.
nice, undulating, rolling. And at that point, at that time of the year, you've got the spring lambs. So there's a big lambing community out here. So you'll see a lot of lambs and also a lot of canola. So,
Mm.
people drive long ways to get photos in front of canola, and we have it out our back door here. So around
Yeah.
about September, it should be just about in flower then. So, yeah.
Yeah. You might get some sunflowers if you head out Dunstown way as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
out there too. There is a
Yeah.
sunflower. So I think
Yeah.
we've pretty much covered everything that you can do in Ballarat. I don't think there's anything else. All right. So if you could sum up the course or the event in 3 words, what would it be? What are you hoping to get out of it, and what do you think about the course?
We're describing as flat, fast, and fun. That's our three
Beautiful.
word summary.
And that's excellent. And that's all it needs to be. That's what
Yeah.
we're looking for. So, um, based on, I guess, let's hope it's a roaring success. If it's a roaring success, what are the chances of this happening in 2026?
My big hope is that we will be able to make this an annual fixture for the club. It's a big event requires a lot of volunteers and planning, but a lot of the hard work in documenting all of that's now been done. So if we can get the numbers and build momentum, I think one of the questions for us is, does this date work given the public holiday? and do the times work? So this is really the test to make sure
Mm.
our theory or our hypothesis is correct. And hopefully we can bring it back the following year as well and keep building on it from there.
Well, there you go. It's now on the people to sign up and enter. So this is going to come out about 2 weeks before the event. You know, we are recording this mid-August, but it's going to be a couple of weeks, and we'll bring it out just before or a couple of weeks beforehand. So for those people who are starting to make a decision, you know, we'll push this out on our socials. We'll make sure Ballarat Tri Club are getting it out there as well so that people are aware of it. We'll try and get Tri-Vic to share it as well to really try and push that. I'm really passionate. I know you are too, really passionate about regional racing. We've got an extended regional series this year, of which you are, you know, this race is part of. And I think for the health of the sport, we need to see more racing regionally, but that also means that they need to be supported. You know, I fully understand what it's like working or volunteering, not working, volunteering in a club, and the challenges that that faces. And nothing motivates a committee more than putting on an event that people love coming back to. And there are some regional, there's also some metropolitan, but there are some regional examples of that that show that if you get support, then the event grows. Okay, so couple of little things that I want to check, or a couple of things. So, any little funny things that have happened during the event planning that maybe caught you unawares?
Oh my gosh. No, I think it's all been roughly as expected. I think the thing that was we did think actually that the first courses we had were the right ones, and then once you go out and do it, you're like, oh, actually, maybe not. I've ridden the bike course so many times that I've gotten dizzy, and this is the reason why it's a 5 lap course and not a 6, because I can't count above 5. So that's probably one. And I think the other thing, I've lived very close to Victoria Park, so I spent a lot of time there. I really wanted to make sure the run course went through the best part of the park, which for me is the pine forest. So we're very lucky to have a course that goes through there. Yeah, I think touch wood, it's all gone well so far. I'm sure there'll be some quirky things that show up in the final stages of planning, but hopefully we look like a duck, smooth on the top and legs going crazy underneath.
And how are you for volunteers? Do you need any? Is there a need for a
We
call out or?
We always welcome volunteers. We've got set up roles in the morning, some marshals, and pack down as well. So yeah, if you're out and you're just spectating but looking for something to do, we definitely welcome an extra pair of hands.
Absolutely. So all you have to do, if you are coming out, just make yourself known to probably someone at the rego desk, I guess, or something like that, and they will probably point you straight at you at point the person
Yep.
straight at Molly, and you'll be allocated a job, even if it's just maybe putting up some bunting or helping with a marquee or whatever it is. So I know that we as a club, so GPC, we're targeting this. I'm very keen to see this grow and be a success. So we're bringing a number of athletes, and we sort of throwing the challenge out there to all the other clubs as well to bring athletes and bring a whole range of athletes. And the fact that this is a regional series, a state series, means that there are points on the line for clubs. So the more you have attend, the more points you get. So, I'm hoping that we are sitting on top of the ladder at the end of round, at least race one in the teams event, because it's been so well supported from us. So for some of my athletes, it's become a compulsory thing. They're racing it; they've got no choice. So all right. Anything else to add, Molly?
Oh, I think the only thing to add is that race two at Western Suburbs sold out. So this is coming out 2 weeks before. Do recommend getting in your entry as early as possible, and that also helps the club as well.
Yep.
Last minute entries means more work for us at the back end organising your race pack, so it costs nothing to enter a little bit early. So we really appreciate if you're hearing this at the 2 weeks out mark and you think that sounds good, please just sign up. Don't forget.
Yeah.
It could, fingers crossed, sell out. So yeah, get
That's
in
what we're
early.
that's what we're aiming for. Sorry, I probably should have asked. Entry fees?
What are entry fees? Let me double check. They should be
From memory, it wasn't. Well, it's not expensive. I know that.
No,
Yeah,
no. So it starts at $25 for the fun race, which
yep.
is more targeted at the kids. And for Oztri members, it's 50 for the dash, 70 for the sprint, and $80 for the sprint team. It's a little bit extra for non-members to cover your one-day license, which is
Yep.
your insurance. So we have tried to keep it low, but it's unfortunately quite expensive to pay to shut the roads and have people managing the traffic. So we're just trying to cover those as best we can.
Well, by comparison to other events, Molly, this is a very, very cheap one. So, and look, you get to come out and see Ballarat and spend some time out there, and hopefully we get a weekend like the weather we've got today. Because if it's like this, it's going to be spectacular. So, look, thanks so much for giving us the inside scoop at the Ballarat Duathlon. Now, to everyone listening, this is your chance to be part of the race from day one. It's always nice to be part of the very, very first race. I've actually signed up for a couple next year where it's the very first race, and I'm glad that I've already signed up for this one. So I'm going to be ticking off all these number ones, which is really good. Now, the course is going to challenge you. It's going to reward you. It's nice and flat, fast. I like those. So if you've got your TT set up, guys, put the disc wheel on, bring the aero helmet, give it a crack. Make sure you mark September 26th in your calendar. Jump online. Don't waste any time. Jump online. Get your entry in. It helps the committee out. They know how many people are coming. The sooner you enter, the easier it is for them. And I speak from personal experience on that too. I just know how much easier it is to know in advance. And for everyone, I guess we'll see you at the start line. Thank you very much,
Yeah.
Molly.
Thanks, Chris. See you there.